Call to order the regular meeting of the Elberly City Council for Monday, July 13th, 2026. Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Christensen?
Here.
Counselor Baker?
Here.
Counselor Herman?
Here.
Counselor Olson?
Here.
Counselor Van Beek?
Here.
Counselor Anderson?
Here.
And Mayor Murray.
Here, would you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome to everybody tonight, whether you're here in person or online. We're glad you're with us. We do not have any ceremonial items, so we'll move along to item number 4, the public forum. We have people that wish to speak tonight. Thank you. All right, Nancy Carlson, would you like to come up and speak?
I'm Nancy Carlson. I represent, my mom and dad live at 1113 Jansen. It's on the corner, the brick house on the corner. And I also, my husband is part owner of the residence at 1002 Jansen, which is right next to the property line of commercial and residential right there. And I'm so happy that they are expanding their business. I'm very happy for them, but parking has become a nightmare down that street. They park on both sides. They're now starting to park in front of my daughter's house. And it's creating problems. She's not getting her recycle picked up. She's not getting garbage picked up because where do you put it? And her mail has been delayed for a day because they're parking too close to the mailbox. They're also parking right up against First Avenue and Jansen Street curbs. I don't drive a big vehicle. I drive a little Honda, and I cannot see to pull out there. I never make a left-hand turn to go up the hill because I feel like I'm taking my chances. And also an incident that happened to me is I turned to go down the street, and there was another car coming from the west. I had to back up onto First Avenue, praying that somebody would see me backing up. I mean, it is in wintertime, they can't plow down there. My daughter's driveway never gets plowed close because of the cars parked so close from them. And it's really becoming a problem. And, you know, they're parked all the way down to the Tribune, all the way up to the railroad tracks on First Avenue. And on the other side, they're parked too. I guess my resolution would be, couldn't they park past the tracks on First Avenue, which used to be Streeters, that area right there? I think it would solve a big issue. But we kind of forbid my parents to even go down that way, especially to take a left-hand turn. But I'm just voicing my opinion.
All right. Nancy, thank you for coming and sharing
Thank
with
you.
us tonight.
And
We appreciate it.
I'm gonna spread it in the neighborhood. There's a lot of older people in that neighborhood now. When I lived there, it was all kids and out in the road and stuff, but it's getting to be an older neighborhood. But I will go up and down and invite them to come.
All right. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. John Colcutt?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Glad to be here tonight. I'm here tonight to address a glaring contradiction in our current city code, specifically a regulatory framework that penalizes local citizens trying to practice conservation while heavily subsidizing high-impact events. I'd like to also add this in here. I only found out about this when I actually went down to the garage to get a permit to have a pollinator garden. And they handed me the paperwork, and at the top it said there was a $100 permit fee. And I don't recall, I do watch the council meetings, I don't recall ever hearing about any fees for that permit when you were discussing it and passing it. So I'm not sure if everyone is even aware of that. So as it stands right now, if an Albert Lea resident wants to responsibly convert their traditional lawn into an intentional maintained pollinated garden, they're hit with a $100 permit fee under the natural landscape rules. Yet a massive 4-day downtown festival that triggers street closures, pulls heavily on city infrastructure, manpower, utilizes public safety resources, can secure a permit for a mere $25. We are charging local homeowners 4 times more to plant native flowers and grasses on their own property than we charge an organization to completely disrupt our downtown core for a weekend. But the financial barrier is only half the problem. The current ordinances also imposes highly restrictive setbacks. A pollinator garden must sit 5 feet back from the sidewalk and 5 feet back from any house or building. For the vast majority of working-class residents living in standard urban lots in Albert Lea, these measurements don't just regulate a garden, they mathematically eliminate it. Unless a citizen owns an exceptionally large property, the layout of a normal city lot makes meeting these dual setbacks functionally impossible. This municipal roadblock flies directly in the face of our own state's environmental priorities. The state of Minnesota is actively urging the public to transition away from traditional turf lawns to mitigate the severe habitat loss facing our native insect populations. Through state-funded initiatives like the Lawns to Legumes project, Minnesota is investing tax dollars to help homeowners eliminate high-volume water usage and reduce the widespread toxic runoff caused by chemical fertilizers and pesticides. While the state is funding conservation, Albert Lea is treating it like an enforcement problem. We are discouraging eco-friendly lawn alternatives by pricing them as a luxury and drafting space restrictions that render them unusable for everyday neighborhoods. I urge the council tonight to direct city staff to review this ordinance. We need to eliminate this cost barrier entirely and adjust the setbacks to common sense dimensions that reflect standard city lot sizes. Let's align Albert Lea with the state conservation goals instead of penalizing the residents who want to improve our community and our fragile environment. So thank you.
Thank you for your time tonight. Appreciate it. And that's all we have on the public forum. Item 5 is the consent and approval of agenda. A is the approval of minutes of the June 22nd, 2026 regular council meeting. Item B is approval of minutes of the June 22nd, 2026 work session. Item C is license and permits. Item D is a resolution accepting the wastewater treatment plant e-bike business grant 2026 miscellaneous 58. And item E is a resolution approving lawful gambling permit for the Albert Lea Amateur Hockey Association. Council?
Move to approve consent and approval of agenda, Your Honor.
Motion by Counselor Baker. Is there a second?
I'll second, Your Honor.
Second by Counselor Anderson. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion?
Were we going to remove an item from the agenda till next meeting, or is that handled at some other time?
I think when we just get to it, we'll just quickly
Okay,
talk about it and then
perfect,
just
thank you.
not take action.
Yep.
All right, we've got a motion and a second. No additional discussion. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item 6 is petitions, requests, and communications. There are none tonight. Item 7 is unfinished business. There is none tonight. And item 8 is new business. Now, under new business, we are going to defer item E under new business to our next meeting. So if everybody would make note of that. We'll go ahead and start with item A then. Public hearing and resolution declaring no public interest in real property portion of Moran Park Job 2612. We'll open the public hearing with a staff report. City Manager?
Thank you, Your Honor. Real quick, City Clerk could also make sure we get linked on the Zoom for Ellers. Thank you. I might take a few minutes. So, the city does not currently, nor does it intend to use the city-owned portion at 222 St. Mary Avenue, also known as Moran Park, for any public purpose other than DOT right-of-way. This resolution would authorize the sale of the sidewalk, and only the sidewalk, along West Main from St. Mary Avenue to Euclid Avenue of Moran Park to the Minnesota Department of Transportation. This area is already subject to a permanent easement granted to the Minnesota Department of Transportation for the existing sidewalk and right-of-way, ADA-compliant facilities, and roadway purposes. The proposed sale would transfer only the land that currently covered by the permanent easement and is already being used for state highway and sidewalk infrastructure. No additional park property beyond the existing easement area would be included in this sale. This action supports the Minnesota Department of Transportation's planned sidewalk and ADA improvements along West Main Street and South Broadway Avenue, Trunk Highway 13 and Trunk Highway 65 as part of job number 26112. Staff recommends approval.
Okay, are there any questions from the council?
Yeah, I'm just curious as
Counselor
to,
Baker.
so they're buying that project or that parcel, there's part sidewalk on there, correct?
City manager?
Yeah, I believe it's either on the north or the south side of the sidewalk, but I do believe actually it's including the sidewalk portion, so I believe it's on the north side of the sidewalk.
Okay.
That runs between St. Mary's or it ends, let me say, the property line that they'd be looking at, what they're buying, it ends on just the north side of the sidewalk, so everything south of that leading into the road is what they would be purchasing. So it's a very thin sliver along the south side of the park.
So there's no sidewalk involved in it?
Well, the sidewalk already exists, and so they,
That's what I'm saying, but is
Yeah.
it in the property that they're wanting to buy?
Yes, yeah.
So are they going to snow blow or blow snow in the winter, or is that still the city thing?
I believe that's the city, and that I believe would probably continue, but I would have to defer to the city engineer on that one.
City engineer, Mr.
Yeah.
Hunkey?
Yeah, first, if you look at on Beacon at the right-of-way maps, it shows that as being MnDOT's property right now. So it's identified as their property, but yes, it would be treated the same way. It's just like when we build in front of somebody's house, the homeowner is responsible, we would be responsible for continuing to plow it.
Okay, thank you.
Your Honor,
Counselor Anderson?
as the proud new owners of a sidewalk, would they be responsible for fixing it in the future, or would they be getting assessed for those repairs?
City manager?
I would have to again defer to the city engineer on this one.
City engineer, Mr. Hunkey?
MnDOT is paying for the majority of the cost of the sidewalks. Anything 5 feet and under is being paid for by MnDOT.
Okay.
All right. Any additional questions from the council? Hearing none. For the first time, would anyone like to speak regarding the public hearing and resolution declaring no public interest in real property, a portion of Moran Park, job 2612? For the second time, would anyone like to speak? For the third time, would anyone like to speak? We'll close the public hearing. I would entertain a resolution.
Move to approve, Your Honor.
Motion by Counselor Baker, is there a second?
I'll second, Your Honor.
Second by, oh, okay, I'm sorry. All right. Any further discussion by the council? Do we need a roll call on this one, or are we good?
It wouldn't hurt.
Okay, clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Christensen?
Aye.
Counselor Baker?
Aye.
Counselor Harmon?
Aye.
Counselor Olson?
Aye.
Counselor Van Beek?
Aye.
Counselor Anderson?
Aye.
And Mayor Murray.
Aye, motion carries. Item B is a public hearing and resolution related to Broadway Ridge Grant, SWASH 232, LLC at 232 South Washington Avenue in Albert Lea, Minnesota, PID 34.001.2730. We'll open the public hearing with a staff report.
Thank
City Manager?
Thank you, Your Honor. I also have Megan Boak, our Community Development Director, here to answer any additional questions the council may have about this application or the Broadway Ridge Grant. As for this particular resolution, SWASH 232 LLC at 232 South Washington has submitted a Broadway Ridge Grant, renewal grant for reimbursement of up to 50% of costs associated with new windows, garage doors, and tuck pointing. The total improvement was $106,453.58. I would, however, comment that more has been put into the building than that. which will provide a matching grant of $50,000. All improvements have been completed and reviewed by the city's zoning and building official for compliance with application requirements. Staff recommends approval of the attached resolution.
Any questions by the council? Counselor Christensen.
I'd just like to comment, Your Honor, that I am affiliated with SWASH 232, and therefore I will not be voting on this. I
Okay,
will
you will be
abstain.
abstaining? Okay. Any other questions?
I'm just kind of curious
Counselor Baker.
as to what kind of money do we have left in the Broadway Ridge Renewal Matching Grant Fund? Is any,
I knew I was going to get asked that, and I completely spaced getting that answer on Friday. I do believe last that we looked, it was assuming that we get the full amount that we have dedicated in the general fund levy going to it. With this, our balance should be at approximately 300,000. But I also am not fully aware of any outstanding applications as well where people have requested. I do not know if the community development director would have any insight as to the fund balance. Unfortunately, our finance director could not be here tonight to answer that question.
okay.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. City Manager Rigg was pretty spot on. I have an email from the finance director back in March that the balance was 365 after 2 grants that were approved in March. And then there was going to be an additional transfer of 190,000 yet in 2026. So a pretty healthy balance still for that fund.
Okay, do you have any applications?
Always.
Okay, so there are people that are going through the process to,
Yeah, the property owners tend to apply before they're able to complete the project, just out of maybe somewhat, anxiousness about getting approved and having funds available when the time comes that their project is completed. So we always have applications in the hopper.
okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any additional questions from the council? Hearing none then, for the first time, would anyone like to speak regarding this resolution? For a second time, would anyone like to speak? And for the third time, would anyone like to speak? We'll close the public hearing. Council,
Move to approve, Your Honor.
motion by Counselor Baker. Is there a second?
Second, Your Honor.
Second by Counselor Anderson. Any further discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Baker?
Aye.
Counselor Herman?
Aye.
Counselor Olson?
Aye.
Counselor Van Beek?
Aye.
Counselor Anderson?
Aye.
And Counselor Christensen?
Abstain.
And Mayor Murray.
Aye, motion carries. Item C is a resolution providing for the sale of $4.91 million of general obligation bonds, Series 2026A. City Manager?
Thank you, Your Honor. Per city charter, the city of Albert Lee has authority to issue general obligation improvement bonds. Staff recommends the sizing of the bond now to be $4,910,000 to finance the bonding cost assessments, water portion, and the levy-funded portions of the project as summarized below. The term of the bond is to be 10 years. Shane Rudling from Ellers and Associates is in attendance via Zoom to answer any questions that you have. Staff recommends approval.
Council?
Move to approve, Your Honor.
Motion by Counselor Christensen. Is there a second?
Second that, Your Honor.
Second by Counselor Olson. Do we want an update on the bond? Welcome tonight. Go ahead if you could give us an update on some of the specifics of the bond.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. So earlier today, the city sold the general obligation bonds, Series 2026A, to finance the improvements and the street and water improvements. You got 9 bids, which is just great. It's a lot of bids. We always look at the spread between the low and the high bids, and it's a nice tight spread, especially for the first 3 or 4 bids. They were tightly packed, which is evidence of a good bond sale. The bonds will carry a AA- ranking for Standard & Poor's. You did receive a premium, which reduced the bond size. The agenda packet materials and the presale report have a bond sale amount of 5.3 million, and you're down at 4.9. The reason that happens is because the underwriters like to sell bonds with higher coupons, and so they're willing to pay more, which allows you then to reduce your bond size, and it all gets baked into the true interest cost that you pay for the bonds, and that's how we do the awards. Because different underwriters provide different premiums and different coupon rates, and they just split it out differently. So with that, you got a great bond sale. You're borrowing at true interest costs of 3.23%, which in today's world is great. So with that, be happy to answer any other questions.
Any additional questions from the council?
Your Honor?
Counselor Anderson?
I think it's worth bringing up, just so the public can hear this, that we talked about at the work session. We didn't take the bond premium because we didn't have any similar projects in the pipeline, because I know that rate is good, and if we did, we could have taken it at a 23%?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct.
I think it's worth mentioning. Maybe the city manager could opine on that.
City manager?
Thank you, Honor. Yeah, we did have the option to look at the bond premium, but when you get that, it has to be restricted to similar uses and projects. And we really didn't see, I don't think we really were anticipating anything. We're not anticipating any overruns because they've already been bid, and we're not anticipating any other projects that would fit that still would not require us to go back and do bonding in 2027 later. So because of that, it really did not make much sense, and instead it made more sense to reduce the annual payment and the total amount that we borrowed, and go that way with the premium. But if we did potentially have a smaller road project and that was the only thing that we had in front of us, that may have been a consideration. So,
Right, Your Honor?
Counselor Baker?
I would like to know what the percentage spread was. Since you had 9 bidders, what was the highest percentage? And obviously, the lowest percentage is what we took.
Sure, Mayor, council members. There is the bid tab that you should have received. We do take the sale results the day of the council meeting, and so that's why it's not maybe in the published packet, but you should have been provided that. I believe you do have it, but the spread is 3.23%. The next highest bid is 3.2503. The next one is 3.2598. The next one is 3.2751. And then the highest one is 3.5569.
Thank you.
Bet.
Any additional questions? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion? City manager?
I would also just like to say for the public, the reason why we're able to get this rate and have some of the options that we do. And it's important that we do get this rate because when we do the assessment, this rate is also what is used to determine what rate those that are paying the assessment over time, what they do pay. But it really comes down to we have a very high rating from Standards & Poor's of a AA-, which for a community of this size is the highest that we can get. We would actually have to grow substantially as in size and population and property economic growth in order to have any of that change. So what it really comes down to is the strong management practices and the oversight of this council that has led to this high rating. So I just want to make sure that people are aware of that and that all the things that we do, they do matter. And we do take very serious our fiduciary responsibilities, and it's shown through these independent reviews.
And this 3.23% is really good when you consider over the past 2 weeks, interest rates on the 10-year bond have actually moved up 10 to 15 basis points. So I was expecting a higher rate, not a lower rate. So this is a very, very good number. All right. If no further questions, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item D is a resolution authorizing the execution of DNR grant for a portion of Songbird Trail in cooperation with Freeborn County, job number 2411. City manager?
Thank you, Honor. This spring, the city applied for and was awarded a $250,000 Minnesota DNR local trail grant. Grant pays towards the project acknowledged by the city council on June 22nd and awarded by the county board, the Freeborn County Board on July 7th. The DNR has prepared this grant, project number C009-25-4D. This resolution authorizes the mayor and city manager to sign the agreement. The first portions proposed to be constructed are from Fountain Street to Highway 13, and then from Sunset Street to County Road 74, as well as 4 bridges. Engineering is recommending entering into this agreement.
Council,
Move to approve, Your Honor.
motion by Counselor Baker. Is there a second?
Second, Your Honor.
Second by Counselor Anderson. Any further discussion by the council? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item E, we are deferring to our next meeting so we can gather some further information and have discussion with some of the public on. I think that's all we need to do on that. So item F is the resolution approving the conditional use permit for building addition and remodel at 906 Front Street West. City Manager?
Thank you, Your Honor. Quick Trip Incorporated applied for a conditional use permit for a 1,911 square foot building addition and remodel of the existing retail convenience store that allow for expansion of existing services, including fueling systems, food preparation, and service areas, as well as restrooms. The B1 Neighborhood Business District states that all uses shall be permitted by conditional use permit, and all elements of the site development shall be controlled within the conditional use permit. The Plan Commission held a hearing on Tuesday, June 9th, 2026, and made the following findings. The application is consistent with the comprehensive plan. The proposed project meets the conditions of the B1 Neighborhood Business District. The proposed project is compatible with the surrounding uses and will not negatively impact the public health, safety, and welfare of the surrounding area. The Plan Commission recommends approval of the conditional use permit with the following conditions. And I do believe that when you make the motion that you state you wish to apply those conditions. A property boundary survey and minor subdivision combining all 3 lots into one shall be completed before final inspection or a certificate of occupancy is issued. A landscape plan providing three-dimensional landscaping to the north and west side of the property shall be submitted before a building permit may be issued. Ground and/or rooftop equipment shall be screened. Trash enclosures are to be constructed with like building materials.
All right, I would like a resolution then that incorporates those conditions that the city manager just read off for us. Is there a motion?
Your Honor, I move that we approve that resolution with the conditions as set by the Planning Commission.
Okay, motion by Counselor Christensen. Is there a second?
I'll second that, Your
Second by Counselor Herman. Any further discussion by the council? Counselor Christensen.
Just a comment, Your Honor. I'm excited that Quick Trip is investing in the neighborhood, and I think it will be an attractive upgrade to their facility there, and I know it serves a lot of people.
All right, thank you. Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item G is a resolution accepting donations as presented to the city of Albert Lea. City Manager?
Thank you, Your Honor. Staff recommends acceptance of the following donations as submitted for council review and approval. Statewide Health Improvement Partnership, or also known as SHIP, have provided both youth small and youth medium bike helmets at a value of $2,018.23.
Council?
Move to approve, Your Honor.
Motion by Counselor Baker. Is there a second?
I'll second, Your Honor.
Second by Counselor Herman. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item 9 is mayor and council reports, and we'll start tonight. Ward 3, Counselor Herman.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have a few things. I participated in the 3rd of July parade. I was supporting a local new business that started up in Albert Lea. July 4th, I attended the car show downtown. The car show had a great turnout. The weather was excellent for the show. I also had a couple more complaints about the grass complaints down over on Madison. I spoke with the city manager regarding that. Citizens complaint regarding the sewer pipe that broke in his property. I know the mayor had been working on that as well. And another citizen's complaint regarding illegal fireworks. The citizen would like the city to maybe publish something in May, just informing people about illegal fireworks and the city ordinances, the state ordinances regarding fireworks. Because it's been a little obsessive. I think people are just celebrating the 250th, longer than maybe what they should, but yeah, she's a little concerned about all the illegal fireworks. So I told her I'd bring it to the council. And that's all, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Ward 2, Counselor Baker.
Thank you, Your Honor. I did have one ward item that I had presented to the city manager in between break. So that'll be taken care of. I don't have anything else except for tomorrow night I have a Heritage Preservation Commission meeting. So in next meeting, I'll give a full report on that. With that, Your Honor, that'll be it.
All right, thank you. Ward 1, Counselor Christensen.
Thank you, Your Honor. Well, let's see. 3rd of July Parade was a fantastic event. Honestly, I can say this is the first time I've ever walked in the parade, and I had so much more fun than I ever would have expected. And of course, we had Dan Buettner and Ellen Kerr as our co-grand marshals, celebrating 10 years since the Blue Zones was first that we were certified as a city. And Dan Buettner gave us some extra time. He drove in especially for this event and left immediately after. But he did meet with a number of the people and talked and kind of was really interested in our community. What are we doing? What's working? How can I help you? And I loved that he was really concerned about how can he help Albert Lea to do better. And one of the things I told him was, I want you to know that Albert Lea, 10 years in, your first certified city, is still committed to making this work and to giving it the staying power that it deserves, because it's a great program. Since then, on Facebook, I've seen his posts about Albert Lea and it getting shared around the country, probably the world. And we are known for this, and it's something that we get to continue to invest in. So anyway, I'm very excited about that. Last Friday, a wonderful event at the Broadway Event Center put on by the Albert Lea Freeborn County Foundation together with the St. Paul and Minnesota's Foundation. Sadie Werflein, who's the chair of the local foundation, worked to get this put together, and it was with the Minnesota Humanities Center and this Danger Boat Productions. We were served a dinner, and this was open to the public for free. It was a great event. Lots of people showed up for this. And their actors would go around and listen to the conversations at these tables, and then they created a skit about Albert Lea Freeborn County, and it was just hysterical, really. Everybody was so enjoying it. One of the things that we didn't even talk about, Brian, after they said, anything that surprised you, their first skit was about how we talk over each other all the time. And it does tend to happen. Because of our decorum rules here at the council, we don't tend to talk over each other, which is kind of nice, but we were all excited. And I think that shows that there's a lot of people in our community who are so excited about our community. Anyway, thank you, Albert Lea Freeborn County Foundation and the St. Paul and Minnesota Foundations. I also found out that they also do lending. They do investing in businesses, including one of our local businesses they've got a big investment in, and that's kind of an exciting thing that they're doing. Senior Center met, the Planning Commission met, and then finally we had last week Lunch and Learn here that's put on monthly by the library, and Brad Kirshner did a great job talking about the history of our commercial buildings, kind of pretty much Broadway. And he's such an interesting presenter, and he had a great crowd. And if you haven't made the Lunch and Learns, check them out because they're very interesting. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Do you know, was that taped? Because I've had other people ask me that couldn't make it.
Kirschner's program?
Yes.
Yes, it was. It's
Okay.
available.
I'll have to pass that along to a few
Yeah.
people, so. All right, Ward 6, Counselor Anderson.
Your Honor, July 3rd, I was also at the reception, Blue Zone reception that greeted Dan Butner, and he had some inspiring words for us. I especially like to thank Kathy for all the healthy Blue Zone quality snacks that they had. Had vegetables to dip. We didn't even have ranch. We had hummus because it was, yes, it had to be very healthy. That was good. The 4th of July, the parade, the fireworks were great. I thought they were great. I finally found a place to watch them, kind of over by the Blazing Star Landing. I think that's what's happened with a lot of folks. They're getting used to where they're going. The rain that we had immediately after, I think took everybody's fireworks. They planned lighting off that night. And I think Councilor Herman was talking about how it seemed like more this year. And I think it was just because it was spread out. It was happening like every night because people had all these left over from the 4th of July. But I do think that wouldn't be a bad idea to at least remind people of what the ordinance is. I'm not saying that everybody's going to follow it, but I went to the sketches and it was brilliant. It really was. That was neat. Yeah, so they asked a bunch of questions that we discussed it as a table. The comedians went around and listened in on and then they did it was, what is it, sketch comedy? Or I think it was improv. It was like an improv comedy show, and they were taking shots at our, healthcare discussions that we have in this town, obviously. We all know about that. And cats got brought up a couple different times in the comedy routine. And of course, our tendency to talk over people, and the rock garden, I remember getting mentioned a couple times, eating ice cream. So somebody mentioned that, the cool little area that we have down there. So yeah, it was the epitome of an Albert Lee event. I hope if they come back that they might even need a bigger venue, because we had it pretty packed in there. But I think when people hear about it, even more will show up. I don't have any ward items, so that's about it. Thanks, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Ward 5, Counselor Van Beek.
Thank you, Your Honor. 4th of July, I did participate July 3rd, I did participate in the parade along with Ride for Heroes. The following day, I did run into Counselor Herman up at the car show, and that was a great turnout, great weather. One ward item that came up this past week, Chief Hanson's already taken care of, so that's all I got.
All right, Ward 4, Counselor Olson.
Yeah, we have a library board meeting coming up this week. Just one word item, if I could have someone look into the fountains. I hear they've been running all night since they've been kind of switched over, and that just kind of seems a little bit excessive to be running pumps and electricity all night long when probably most people aren't seeing them. So if we can just figure out a time, I think we used to close them down at 9 o'clock before, but we can just get that back on a normal schedule instead of running continuously. I know the lights turn off at a certain time, but the fountains are still running all night from what I've heard. And I went out a couple weeks ago at about 2 o'clock in the morning, and they were going, and you can't see them, but if you shine your lights just right, you can tell they were on. Thank you.
All right, thank you. My report, on the 24th of June, I attended the All Thing Clinic presentation out at the Northbridge Mall. And then on the 27th, I attended the Corey Goodnature Memorial Golf Tourney. That was very well attended. They've raised over $500,000 of scholarships that they've given out for this community over the last 20 years. And so and these are nice scholarships. They're like $3,000 a piece. So they're helping a lot of kids go to college. A few Alita project update meetings during the last 2 weeks, and then we had our Alita board meeting on Wednesday the 1st, and just talking again about projects that we're working on and trying to push a few more to fruition. On Thursday, the 2nd, I attended the Thursdays on Fountain with Mia Lillian, and she was very well received. What a great voice that gal has, and so that was a lot of fun that night, and the rain held off. We had a couple sprinkles about halfway through it, but we got through it just fine. And then on the 3rd of July, I also participated in the parade, and I asked the superintendent to join me. And so I walked backwards on the parade before it started, introducing him to different people. And then we got to the start of the parade, and I introduced him to Dan Butner. And they had a nice little talk about things going on with the Blue Zones in the schools. So that was good to see. So that was nice of Butner and the superintendent to get together and have a little chat about that. Then on the 4th, I also attended the Old Car Show. Very well attended, and nice show downtown again. Fourth of July fireworks, I too enjoyed them. I thought they were very good, so that was good to see. And then also that weekend, we had the community band playing in the gazebo, and we had a rock band playing downtown in front of the 112. So a lot of activities going on for people. On Sunday, the 5th, we had the boat parade and then also the Bayside Ski Show. So again, a lot of things for people in town to be doing. And then on the 3rd, today, or the 13th, today, we had the Alita interviews this morning, looking for an assistant executive director. And we did interview 3 candidates, and we did make an offer to a person. We haven't heard back yet, but that is in the works. Coming up over the next week or two here in Albert Lea, Crazy Days in Albert Lea begins this week, July 16th through the 18th. Check out all the deals, downtown Albert Lea. Hours varies by stores. This week, Thursdays on Fountain on July 16th will feature the music of Holly Day. Starts at 5:30 p.m. And movie in the park this week is Finding Dory, and will be shown at the Aquatic Center parking lot on Friday, July 17th, starting at 8 p.m. Bring your own lawn chairs and blankets for an enjoyable show. Next week's Thursday on Fountain, July 23rd, will feature Papa Greasy playing a mix of blues, jazz, rock, and country. And then the Stars Mentoring fundraiser this year will be at First Lutheran Church at 301 West Clark. The barbecue cook-off is Friday, July 24th from 5:30 to 7:30. It will be a Austin mayor versus the Conger mayor going against your mayor for the best in barbecue. So stop by, vote early, vote often for the best barbecue. All donations will go to the Stars Mentoring Program, and pretty cool thing here, donations this year will be matched up to $5,000. So enjoy some barbecue, come on down and vote, and enjoy the fun. All right, with that, we'll move along to the city manager's report. City manager?
Thank you, Your Honor. Before we get to the item on the strategic plan, I just want to give a quick update. I too also attended the interviews as a community stakeholder, as well as the Community Development Director, Megan Boak. And personally for myself, I was very pleased with the 3 candidates that we interviewed. I mean, what a remarkable group of women that were selected for the interviews today. And I'm sure it was a tough decision for the board to bring it down to a first selection. So, but much needed, and we're also starting to work on the budget process. Last week, we started some of our internal reviews of going through certain line items in the budget. A little early to try to figure out what may be some of the potential impacts. We still have a lot going on in that, everything from not knowing where we will finalize union contracts, not knowing where we're going to end up with healthcare. With the healthcare side, we do have some very positive outlooks, but at the same point, we're also part of a pool, so someone else in the pool can also drag us down. Just continue to go through with staff over their budgets, and they have clearly put a lot of effort into it, and it's been it has been very easy to work with them on that so far. We will have. I will be attending a workshop with the county commissioners to go over tax forfeited properties and the city's involvement and partnership with the county. Later this month, we will have a joint city-county meeting where we will discuss shared services and how we can best serve our joint constituents and the larger area. And I want to thank all of our staff for their efforts over the 4th of July weekend and celebration. It has been, it's always a very busy time. So everything from police department to our fire department and public works, everyone working in the heat, dealing with the crowds, setting up the community for the event. But then also another group I want to recognize for their hard work this summer so far has been the recreation department. We've been down the recreation manager for the last 6 months, and I know that hasn't always been easy on them and other staff. And I just want to thank them for their hard work, because we're still getting these programs done. People are still using it, still enjoying what we have to offer, and it's because of their dedication and hard work.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And then you were going to go over the strategic plan also?
Yes. Get up on the screen. I don't know if, I don't know how much the council would like to discuss today. I kept the pretty brief. I was more of wanting to kind of discuss timeline, and then if there were any questions about mainly the mission and vision statement. We had the meeting back in September, and which it was staff and council at that time meeting, and we kind of set 5 primary goals. We talked about the mission and vision statement, giving a lot of good information to the consultant that was able to put it together. Then the consultant met back with staff, and we kept figuring out, okay, how do we take what the council has said very broadly at a higher level and bring it to a more a level that we can actually produce and present to the public. So right now, the vision statement is a safe, beautiful, and prosperous community where forward-thinking growth creates opportunity and affordable living is within reach. Albert Lea is where everyone feels welcome and accepted, in a place where everything you need is right here. So that's the general vision. That's sort of where, if we were to take all the different aspects of what we were talking about and were to combine it into a lengthy sentence, but still a singular sentence, a singular statement, that is what we came up with from that meeting. And I think it's a slight variation from what was the original vision statement from maybe 15, 20 years ago. And then the mission statement is Albert Lea will enhance the quality of life for current and future generations by delivering cost-effective services, fostering strategic collaboration, and purposely guiding growth through meaningful partnerships and long-term planning. And I think when you get into some of what we had set for the goals and what we'd be doing, I think a lot of it hits that. So I think a lot of what the council had discussed and what came up as the 5 main categories for the goals, kind of, again, all of that interplays with each other. So the 5 goals is finance. And I'm not going to go into the finer detail or the targets specifically, but one of the biggest questions of, we could list all the things that we want to do is, but how do we accomplish these other goals in a responsible and equitable way when it comes to thinking about the city's finances? Because we could try to burn through our finances to meet certain demands right in this moment, but then would we have it for later? Or, what would be some of the other negative effects with drastic increases in taxes or utilities, fees, et cetera? So a lot of that was also a big question throughout the entire process, as we also looked at the other 4 goals. Housing, new and older homes needing construction or rehabilitation to meet community and workforce needs. Economic development, again, that also plays into housing. All of these interplay with each other. Infrastructure and shovel-ready sites was a big issue. So how do we know our infrastructure is ready? How do we make shovel-ready sites? Healthy community, everything from what we're doing with Blue Zones to improve living conditions in general, and also maintaining the public's trust. How do we maintain our transparency, our sense of belonging, approachability, and workforce. This was more internal, but the workforce is actually one of the key things that actually helps make the engine move here. And so an internal process to attract and retain employees in what's currently right now a tough market, but also through that, looking at creating efficiencies and making the city future ready for the future workforce coming in. So I think those were some key takeaways and basic summary of what we had listed in the 5 goals. And staff, there was a lot of how do we do this? How do we meet this? discussions when it came to that. And again, we still have more work to do, but I think that for the actual plan itself, the general guidance, the 30,000 to 10,000 foot view that's within this, I think it's near completion. But I think we just have to have a little more discussion, make sure it definitely is hitting the targets we want, primarily for the council. And so next steps is hand it out to staff, which I have done at least right now to the senior staff. I have forwarded on to them. And then I would also like to hand it off to key committees, so that way they can also review it, because some of this could impact or may raise questions as to, okay, what is meant by this for like the plan commission when it thinks about what these goals are, maybe as it relates to housing or economic development, making a shovel-ready site, or for Parks and Rec when we talk about blue zones and creating a healthier community. Then I'd like to reconvene for adoption, or at least continued discussion in August. I don't want to try to say, well, in 2 weeks, let's be ready, because I'd also like to give time for some input from those committees if they so choose to provide input. And then staff and consultant will finish the measurement matrix, which will be very important, because that's where we will say, okay, we kind of have it listed out, but we'll start to then work on, okay, what are the actual things that meet these goals? And then that way we can begin to talk about completion of the goals, like timelines, and then more importantly, creating a system of continued monitoring and reporting back to the council and back to the public as it relates to the strategic plan. Where are we at? And I think also when we look at the budget as we're coming up, we can also use this as a guide to help us with the budget as well. Does this even meet our strategic plan or not, as we make certain decisions about what to do? So that is where we're at. Like I said, I actually tried to get this to you on Friday, but I still had a couple minor edits to do. So I was only able to get that out to you via email this morning. But I would like to reconvene on it in August, if that is quite all right. And if there are any other comments, thoughts, anything you might think I've missed at the moment, I'd love to hear it.
Well, let's everybody take some time to read this over and study it a little bit, write down some ideas, thoughts, whatever, and then let's listen to some of the other stakeholders and the staff and committees and see what they think of it. And then, like you said, reconvene in August to discuss it further. Any questions right now for the city manager on the strategic report? All right, go ahead and read it over and come up with, if we think this is where we want to go for the next 10 years. With that,
Did you say 20 years?
I said 10.
It's supposed to be 3 or 4.
Oh, 3 or 4.
3.
All right, it'll set the table for the next 10.
Okay,
How's that?
okay, there we go. All right, there we go.
All right, we'll move along to item 11, approval of claims. A is a resolution approving claims, and 1 is a presentation of claims over $25,000. City manager?
Thank you, Your Honor. We have $25,368.75 to Motorola Solutions. This is Video Manager Cloud Storage for police vehicles. $27,432.54 to Freeborn County Co-op Oil. This is diesel fuel. $30,867.21 to Home Serve USA Corp. This is the water and sewer line protection plan for the month of June. $40,043.45 to Platinum Plumbing Solutions LLC. Payment estimate 3 for lead service line replacement project. $47,293.84 to Midway Ford Company. This is a 2026 Ford F-350 for the Parks Department. $50,000 for Swash 232 LLC. This is the Broadway Ridge grant approval. $63,793.30 to Bolton Mink Incorporated for the wastewater treatment preliminary engineering plans. $83,711.29 to H&M Underground Solutions. This is lead service line replacement project, payment estimate number 9. $225,818.84 to Southwest Service Cooperative. This is health insurance, approximately 87% employer, 13% employee. $245,076.47 to Jensen Excavating and Trucking. Payment estimate 3 for St. Mary and 14th Street reconstruction. $312,622.60 to Wapshaw Construction Company. Payment estimate 23 for preliminary treatment, facility design and construction. $313,050.65 to Icon LLC. Payment estimate number 1 for St. Valley and Marshall Street reconstruction. $715,934.73 to Bond Trust Services Corporation for interest payments on bonds.
Council.
Move to approve, Your Honor.
Motion by Counselor Baker. Is there a second?
I'll second, Your Honor.
Second by Counselor Herman. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item 12 is closed session. We are going to go into a closed session and talk about selling or purchasing property under section 13D.05 subsection C, 3C3. Is there a motion to go into closed session?
I'll make that motion. Your
Motion by
Honor.
Counselor Baker. Is there a second?
Second, Your Honor.
Second by Counselor Anderson. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We are now in closed session.